Hey guys, good afternoon and welcome. My name is Primus Veku and this is Primus Learning. So I was sitting on my desk today and thought that I've not recorded a video or a recording for quite a while now, and I decided to put this together, right? Forget about this name here, this Docker Actions repo. I use this repo for something else, and I'm just transforming it into a new repo, right? And so there are a couple of things that we want to do here. So sometimes organizations out there, they want you, the DevOps engineer or the AWS architect, to launch simple internal applications on S3, to host these applications on S3. So simple non-dynamic applications, right? So static websites on S3, and the code is usually simple like this. So this is the code that I want to launch in S3 here. So the reason for this video, or this video will just show you how to deploy automatically, or to deploy using GitHub Actions a website on S3 and make it publicly available, right? So don't worry about this dark file. These are the two files you should worry about. So you should worry about the one in here. So this github.github/workflows and the public. So the public is the website. So you see it has an index.html page. So this is a basic HTML file, and it just defines what the web page would look like, right? This is what it would look like. And then the error page, this error page is basically a page where if the main website is not working, it should error out too. This page would show. And then the image page is just an image of how the website would look, right? So the website, we are expecting that the website would be yellow in color, and that's it about this images folder. So all of these fall under the images. So no, this falls under the images, while this is under the public, right? And so under CSS, so I have CSS to make the page a little better. I have styled it a little bit. You see the style that is defined there. So this is the style of the website, and then this is the bootstrapping to make it beautiful as well. So all of this is CSS, which just beautifies the web page. It's a simple web page, and the web page, you can actually use it, right? The web page, the main aim of the web page is to generate automatic, or to generate complex passwords. If you are in an organization that deals a lot with passwords, or you work on passwords a lot, you can deploy this website and use it to create your passwords. So we'll do that and show you how it works, right? So what do we want to do? We want to deploy this on GitHub Actions. We've created a repository and want to use that repository and deploy to our AWS environment. A website on an S3 environment. So I'll show you my GitHub repo. This is my GitHub repo. So all I did was I created this GitHub repo. So the first thing you need to do, create a repo. And then under that repo, once you create, you just clone it to your local and then copy all the code. You can just pull mine down, copy the code over, and modify to fit your needs. So once I did this, I had to grant access to my AWS environment. How I did that is I went to my settings, right? So you need to go to your settings under this repo, right? You have to make sure that you have the credentials configured. I'll show you how to do that as we go along, right? So actually, let me sign into this repository because I'm just external for now. I have to sign in, else I will not show you very well. So let me sign in here real quick and walk you through. Okay, so let me get this code in. Nice. Okay, so it's verifying that it's me. All right. So what I would do is I will go to settings. So this is to help you put your access key. So you need to know what an access key and a secret access key is, right? You need to know what those things mean. So it means that you should have some pre-knowledge on AWS, at least how to create those keys. So you go under actions, you see I'm under actions, and then I'll have to create these keys. I've created something called an AWS access key ID, and I've created a variable here called AWS region, and another one, or a key, it's like a key pair called AWS secret access key. So these have passwords. So if you want to add a new variable, a new secret, you just come here, give a secret name, and you add the secret and you save. Then you will not be seeing the secret again, but they are there. You've saved it. So your actions will come pull from here. I'll explain how it does that, right? So this is how you add credentials, because your GitHub environment, your GitHub actions would need to launch things in AWS. You need to create resources in AWS. So it needs access to AWS. So guys, this is absolutely important that you do this. So you need to grant the type of access that you need. You can just create a user in AWS and grant it admin privileges and copy the access key and the secret access key and come in here, go to your settings, go down to your actions, and under actions, you click on actions here. And then under repository secrets, you just under repository secrets, that's where it is, right? You create a new repository secret and you just put those values the way you want to use them. You name them the way you want to use them. This is how I'm naming them, right? All right, so let's go back to our code here and go back to up here. So I've created the repository, right? And for GitHub Actions to work, this is absolutely important for those who are still learning GitHub Actions. For GitHub Actions to work, you need to follow the structure of a GitHub Actions workflow. So this is how you name it. You would name a file, create a file under your repository. So let's say you've created a repository and pulled it down and cloned it to your local environment. And this is the repository. I cloned it. It's in my local and there's no file. You first of all need to create a .github folder. And under that folder, you create another folder called workflows. So I've created a .github folder, and under the .github folder, I've created a workflows folder. And inside, therefore, you can create your actions. This time, I'm creating just one actions pipeline. This pipeline is the same thing like you create a Jenkins file in Jenkins to build a Jenkins pipeline. It is the same thing for GitHub Actions. And so my actions, my workflow name or my pipeline name is called s3bucket.yaml. It is a YAML file. So with YAML, the language, the syntax, and everything is unique to YAML. So it is a YAML file, while the Jenkins file is Groovy. So you have to know that there is a difference between Groovy, the way it's written, and all of that. They are different languages, right? And so this one is YAML. And the file is simple. This is what I'm doing on the file. I'm simply telling it to run on a push. Once I push something, so once I push something up to this repository, it should run depending on the branch where I'm pushing whatever I'm pushing. So in this case, I'll be pushing something into the main branch, right? Or dev branch or test branch. You could put a test branch. Let's just modify and add a test branch. And add a test here and save. This means that we'll modify this file. So once I save this file and upload it, right? Once I upload this file, automatically something should run. If I upload it into main file, into the main branch, sorry, you see the branches? So I'm saying on a push, and in any branch where I'm doing that push, please perform some actions. What are the actions you should perform? Hey, I want you to run a job, right? You see, simple. It's simple syntax. The job, colon, and I want you to do a deployment. It will be deploy something. And that thing should run on something. It should run on. It needs a server to run on. And GitHub has provided default default runners, they call them runners for us to use. You could create your own runners in your AWS account, like Linux machines. There's a way to do that and configure it here, and it will run on your Linux machines. But these actions, I want to use the basic Linux default provided runners, and therefore I'll use the Ubuntu latest runners, right? So it will run on Ubuntu. So all of my program would have to be, I have to provide, if I have to provide commands, they will be Ubuntu commands, right? And so what are the steps I want to take? The first step that I want to take is to check out my repository. So I want to go into this repository and figure out whatever is happening on it. So I'll go in, look at this folder, GitHub.this, and go to here and run whatever is inside, right? So these are the steps. The second thing, the action I want to take is check out. So check out means I'll go in here and check my repository, go to the repository and look at the structure and figure out what's inside. This is like a function that has been built and it's available in the GitHub Marketplace. So if you go to the GitHub Marketplace, just go on GitHub Marketplace and search for it. You see, this is the URL, right? You search for, just say GitHub Marketplace, right? And you go on the GitHub Marketplace. This is GitHub Marketplace. You go there and simply search what you're looking for, the kind of action you're looking for. This one is checkout. I want to use checkout because it is important for me. And so you see, this is the one provided by GitHub itself. You see, it says checkout version 4 is available. I can use version 4. I can use any version that's available for me. And you see, this is how it tells you use this. This is the way you use it. And then provide a repository, the branch, and everything. This is how it is. You can read more about it. It has different things like the AWS CLI actions. Maybe you want to connect to the AWS CLI. There are like packages or functions that have been built and are available for you to use. So maybe you want to use the CLI, right? The CLI, I think it will have different things here. It doesn't even know what I'm talking. AWS CLI. Let me look for AWS CLI. Sorry, AWS CLI. If you want to install it somewhere, right? You see AWS CLI setup, AWS SAM CLI, and so on. So you will have already built ones and how you can use it. This one is built by this guy, so he's telling you this is how you leverage it. So there are different people who build them. You can look for the official ones. Anything that you want to play around with, right? You can do and connect to AWS and leverage it. So this is what I'm defining here. And then the name of what I want to do, I'll show you how this works, right? How this name would appear. So this step, the name of this step would be to configure AWS credentials. And what's the action? So you need to use these actions, these AWS actions. It's called configure AWS credentials, right? Configure AWS credentials. So this also is another action that is available in GitHub Marketplace. You go and use it. So what do I want to do? I want to use it with, right? You see that syntax with colon AWS access key ID. So I want to go to my actions tab and go fetch my AWS credentials. So this is what I want to do here. My AWS credentials, I'm just variabilizing it here. So this is the variable I'm defining, and it will be defined up there. So the key will be access key ID, and the secret will be AWS secret access key. So I want you to go and retrieve these credentials. So these are the credentials that GitHub Actions would use to run. So it will access AWS using these credentials. And so I showed you earlier how that was defined, right, in your AWS in your repository. So you saw us, we went to the repository, we went to settings, we went to actions under there, and then we're able to create a secret environment. So credentials to use and access AWS. Remember, I said you need to know how to create a user in AWS and use that user, the secret ID and the access key to be able to access your environment. Now I've defined that part. So you'd see once we run that pipeline, right, you'll see that there will be some parts. The first part, so let's go to I already ran this as I was walking through this process. So if you go to my actions tab here and go to a pipeline that I ran, so you see the first thing is setup. Then the second thing that we defined was check out repository. Remember that name that we named here, check out repository. This is what we named it, check out repository. So the second name is configure AWS credentials. This is what you see here, configure AWS credentials. And then you see the actions that will happen. There it goes, you see, run AWS actions, configure this. So it goes and takes this action and then executes that action. Then it gives you an output. The third is create an S3 bucket with website configuration. So the third thing I want to define is to go into that AWS environment. So it will leverage the credentials that we've defined here and go into that AWS environment and create an S3 bucket. So this is what we're doing here. We've named it create S3 bucket with website configuration. And so the command I'm asking it to run is, you see, what I'm using here is run. And then I put a pipe here because there are a couple of commands that I want to run, right? There are a couple of commands I want to run. And so AWS S3 API. So I'm using the S3 API to run something. It's just like you're running something on the terminal, right? On the CLI. So I'm using that Ubuntu server up there to run things and create stuff in S3. So I want to run this API and create an S3 bucket. What's the bucket name? The bucket name should be Primus Learning GitHub Actions website. And so this bucket will be created when we run this. Where is the region? The region is this. Another thing I want to do is I want to use the same AWS S3 API to put public access block. So I want to use the put public access block and make this website public because it needs to be public for the website to work, right? So bucket Primus Learning website. So this is the bucket name, which is what we created up here. Then public access block configuration. What do you want to do? You want that block public access to ACS to be false because you don't want that public access to be blocked, right? So I'm putting everything on false here, equals to false. Block public this false, 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 false. All right. So it will do that action for me. The next thing that I want to do, you see there are basic CLI commands that I'm running. Is the next thing I want to do is AWS 3 API put bucket website, right? So what's the bucket? The bucket is this. What's the configuration? This is the bucket configuration. So you have an index.html. So under index document, I want to have an index.html page. And I also want to have an error.html page, which are these two things that are here, defined here, you see. So this is how I want that bucket. So it will go under properties. So it's the same thing like going into AWS here. Let's go into AWS, go to your bucket and go under properties. And down here, I want you to go down here. That's what I'm telling that S3 API. You can run it from your terminal or anywhere. I'm asking it to go in here, right? And enable this, enable the website, and then put here under this index document, index.html. And under the error page, I should put error.html and direct people there in case this one doesn't work. That's exactly what I'm doing. Instead of doing it from here, from the console, or running it from the CLI, I am doing it through my GitHub Actions pipeline. That's all we're doing, we're defining here. So once I've defined this, guys, I will go down a little bit again and run other things, right? So I want to add a bucket policy to allow public read access. If I don't add this bucket policy, you would have an error once you run this page because it will show access denied. So I will run an AWS command again and say put bucket policy, right? So the bucket is what? This is the bucket. What's the policy? This is the basic policy if you know how to write policies in AWS. So using the IAM tool, right? The Identity and Access Management Service in AWS. This is a simple policy that I'm defining in here. This is all about the policy. It starts from here and ends here, right? This is it. What do I want to do? I want to open up this policy, S3 get object. I want to be able to get object. I want people to be able to get object. What's the principle? Everybody to be able to get object from what resource? The resource is this bucket here, this bucket. And I want the people to be able to get every file that is under here, under this bucket. So once you go access the bucket website, so the S3 bucket website, because we're hosting this application on S3, you should have access to every file that is found under here, which means inside this bucket here, so let me scroll up a little bit, which means inside this bucket, right? Everybody should be able to access everything that is here. So once you click, it will just direct you the way you should do. So once you click on this link, the link is the S3 dynamic host, static hosting website link that it will give you, right? So once you click on this link, sorry, it's taking me back and up. So once you click on this link, you should be able to have access to everything that is inside that bucket. That's all what that part is telling you in this small policy that we're defining. All right, I've done that. And then the next step down here in my pipeline is to display the website URL. So I want you to be able to access the website after just directly. You will see displayed the website URL. So once you do it, it will go and echo the website URL. What's the website URL? This is the website URL. Since you are not deploying it from AWS directly, you see, you will not have access to this, right? Maybe you can deploy it without even logging into this AWS environment. So you need access to this link right here to be able to access the website. And so once you do that, you are asking it, hey, provide me, echo back, bring me back this URL. Once you've created all these configurations above that we've defined, please bring me back this URL so that you copy that URL and go and, and go and run your thing and go and run your website and see what you've deployed. So after that, deploy stateside to S3 bucket. So after you've done that, run what? AWS S3 sync. It's simply like copying all the files. You see, the sync command in S3 in AWS, that's the AWS CLI command, right? AWS S3 sync. If you are an AWS person, you should know how to copy files from your local or from anywhere to AWS using a command line, right? That's the command. So you use the AWS S3 sync command, and you want to copy everything that is under, that is, you see, at the root of this public. You want to copy everything here, /public, everything inside this location. So what do you want to copy? You want to copy everything here. You see, everything inside here. So all these files, all of these files, you want to copy all of them, the images, the error.html page, the index.html page, the CSS, the style.css, everything about the website, everything inside this file, you want to copy it and put it into S3. Now, once you've defined that, that's basically it, guys. That's all your pipeline is doing. You see how simple it is to write a pipeline that will do some magic for you. So once you've done this, you see you can upload this. So you've done that, and you see Git status. You just want to save your file. Git status I've updated because I just added just something here so that it will run and you see how it works, right? So I added that file. So let's commit that file. Let's git add. We want to add everything here. Git status again. You see that it'll be green. Now you want to do git. Let me just drag this up a bit. Now you want to do and clear this. Let me clear. Let me clear the screen. Clear. All right. So remember we added and then we want to commit it. Git commit -m if you know how to use Git commands. So the message is added maybe a test branch. But I'm not deploying it to test because I'm currently on my main branch. You see, I'm currently on my main branch. And it shows here there's one addition. I've added one little thing on my website. So I'll do that on my repository. I'll do that and just do git push origin main, or just do git push. Mine will ask me to enter some passwords here. Yours probably doesn't have a password. So I will just enter that password. It will ask me again. I'll enter the password again. And voila, it's pushed out the thing. And now it should automatically begin some action. You should see here that there is an action that has begun running, right? So there's something that is happening. This thing will go to AWS, create some resources for us. You see, it's gone out and checked out this thing. So let's look through what it's doing. It's gone and checked out the repository, went into it, set up everything, seen everything that is it's supposed to look for. And then on the configuration, the credentials configuration, it's configured our credentials, right? The third thing is it's gone and created an S3 bucket. So it's gone and run this command and then created an S3 bucket called this. And then you see all these names. These are the names we're giving here. Remember all the names. We named checkout, we named configure, we named create S3 bucket. We also named display website URL and all of these things. So it's creating S3 bucket and configuration. So let's see what it does. Create S3 bucket with configuration. This is it. It's created. Display website is displayed our website, right? This is the website. So this is the link. Your website is hosted at this. Now you copy this if it's successful and go check whether your website is successful. But it will take some time to deploy all of those things. So let's copy it and have it here. And then display static site to S3 or deploy static site. So after it's displayed your link, because it has created your S3 configurations, it will display the link. You copy that link. And then, of course, it will upload all those files you saw in that directory into your S3 environment. So you see, this is upload complete, and that's done. And then it will just show you some post configuration cleanup. It will clean up some things and the complete job, just show you that, hey, the job is completed, because it does this cleanup always, right? After every job. And then that's it. So your GitHub actions was successful. So if we go back here, you see that all your steps are successful and your GitHub actions is green, guys. So we've successfully manually, you see, I did some failures here and I was updating. We have successfully, sorry, automatically pushed up something on S3. It's just like copying files over to S3, but this is done automatically. Now, if you want to update your website, you simply have to update it here, run here, update it. Maybe your index, you don't want the page to look the way it is. Simply update here, push out, and it automatically runs without you having to go into S3, create create an S3 bucket, do things there manually before deploying. Now let's check our website if it's working. We'll just paste that command here. You see, this is the command that we copied and run, and fingers crossed. Yay, you see, our website is hosted. It's running now. It's running. Now you see, you see some passwords that have generated. See the image, the image was this color. And all of these passwords and these things were defined in the code that we saw down here. And you see, you can actually copy it, right? Copy this passwords. You can generate another password. You can keep generating. These are good passwords that you could use for maybe your things. You are a company that's working on password things. You could just harden the code, right, and get maybe more sophisticated passwords and so on and so forth. So this is a simple application that we've deployed. We've simply used this application here, which is inside this public, and we've created a .github/workflows folders, these two folders, and inside we've created a pipeline, and we created a repository in GitHub, and we're able to use that to just deploy a static website on S3. And that static website is running automatically by you just changing stuff and moving it here and pushing it out. So guys, this is simple. I wanted to just show you how you can deploy something to S3, a static website to S3, using GitHub Actions. I hope you loved this video. Please share it or leave us your comments and let us know if you're using a static website at your workplace, or you're deploying something personal on your environment, and you want to use this GitHub Actions pipeline. Please go ahead and use it. You're free to use it, right? And you could also change that image, change things, and name it the way you want, and play around with it, right? Go ahead and use this repository to do that. It's a pleasure. My name is Primus Veku, and see you again next time. Please leave us the comments and the likes, and share our video so that we can grow together. Thank you, and bye-bye.